Alright, Oakland Cat3's four corners with a narrow chicane. Strong winds and it was bouncing around these tall buildings, so it just felt like a crosswind all the way through. Hard to hide when there's only 24 riders. And by the way, I'm using my friend HJ's footage. Thank you, HJ. He races for Alviso. Alright, now check this out. There were 8 fields today and 4 of them won from a field sprint. But in 3 of the 1, 2, 3 fields, it was either won by a solo rider off the front or from a break. So let's see what happens in Cat 3. Alright, so we're only a minute in and there's already 3 riders off the front who are really eager to get away, and I'm actually off the back because I failed to clip in. Nick waited for me, so thank you, Nick. But coming back to these 3 riders, I really like what they're doing here because they're trying to use this course to their advantage. And just by the way how they're racing, they know that this course can be won from a break, and it's because a small group can fit through this tight chicane right here. And in contrast, they can pinch an entire field. So by the way how they're racing, this is totally pre-planned, premeditated. And what's really cool is that you don't see this level of planning and execution in the Cat 4 or 5 field, but here in Cat 3 you're starting to see that people are playing around with this kind of stuff, which I think is really cool. I had the same idea of trying to get into a break myself, but you know, I probably should work on trying to clip in. So now a Velo Kings rider has successfully broken off the front, and this Dolce Vita rider on the left decides to bridge across as well. And now this rider in black is chasing the Dolce Vita rider, and you'll see what I mean about the chicane here. It can really select people, where if you're not taking the corners right, but the people in front of you are, they can really get away. So, you know, these 2 riders start to work together to bridge up to that Velo Kings rider. By the way, this rider in the red Pen Velo kit is Nick. You probably recognize him from my Wednesday night crit videos. In the orange and blue kit is Cameron, who's the captain of Alviso and also HJ's teammate, and this dude in the blue is me. So I remember no one was taking charge, and I figured it's probably time to wake up, so yeah, honestly, I'm just the most impatient. So here you'll see that we were strung out for a bit, but then someone in the front eventually sits up, and that's really what allows the break to get away until the next group takes charge. Okay, so this break's about to get caught, and Cam and I close it down here going into these chicanes, and there's something I didn't like about this is that going into the chicanes, these 3 riders are able to control kind of the speed going into it, and this really neutralizes a counterattack, because normally when you catch a break, what you want to do is attack through them, but here, you know, the Dolce Vita rider in the front is able to kind of control the pace, and it allows all 3 of these riders to recover. And maybe these guys were planning where they wanted to get caught, and this is just like a masterclass in how to be in a break and how to get caught if you have to, because it would have been better to catch them on the straight section. But you know, maybe what was going on in my mind was I just kind of wanted this break to be caught so that we can move on, and that way I could try to get myself into the next break. But then what ends up happening is this SJBC rider on the left side attacks, and I'm not in position for it. So, and then here's kind of my point is that these 2 break riders, the rider in the black kit and the Dolce Vita guy, actually has enough energy to jump across with this SJBC rider. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they timed where they were going to get caught, and then had some time to recover. So then off they go again, and I'm just in the back, I guess, still trying to clip in. So there's a couple riders off the front maintaining about a 3-second gap, and man, everybody is just so eager to try and get into a break. It's like they talked to their teams beforehand, or you know, they consulted a palm reader and they were like, what should I do? And it's like, oh, you got to try to get into a break. And yes, it's like every other person kind of has similar plans, and I guess I'm just wondering when's it gonna be my turn. Alright, so 2 laps go by and the field has been stop and go. I'm sure they're rolling smooth turns up there in the break, but there's a lot of advantage to being back here since we're insulated from the heavy crosswinds. So like right now we're slowing down, and in a minute I'll show you some footage of us like surging and going full gas for no reason. So let's just take a look at that. By the way, HJ, you're doing 500 watts going into this crosswind, so we gotta get into this draft. Alright, so here's another cool thing I noticed is that I'm off on the front with Nick, and there's just attacks flying because we're trying to close down this last solo rider that got away, and I hit 900 watts, but HJ, who's in the back, actually doesn't really feel it. He only has to hit 400, 500 watts, and you know, I'm doing 36, 37 miles per hour on the front here, but you know, because we're going into this chicane, we start slowing down, and HJ never had to touch basically what is my maximum final lap sprint. Alright, so we're about to catch this solo rider, and it's been like this all race where we're like really close to catching the break, and then we go 9 riders wide, and then we single file it and shoot through an attack, and it's just so surgy and attacky. And yeah, I guess this is Cat3 in NorCal. Yeah, so this rider right here spins up, and he does a good job integrating back into the field. And actually, guess what? The move is actually coming right here. Yeah, so I guess somebody second wheel let Cam's wheel go, and I guess we're just gonna watch him right away. And I remember I looked at Nick here, and I was just like, yo, dude, yo. I think this is, oh man. So yeah, so the nice thing about Nick is that I don't have to say anything. He already knows. Yeah, and if you squint right here, he's tucking in over his bars, and he's trying to chase. Yeah, Nick's just such an awesome draft. See, look, I'm doing 100, 200 watts in this draft. All right, let's zoom in for a bit. It's gonna be potato quality for a bit, but hopefully you're eating potato chips. Yeah, so Nick takes this pretty long pull, and Cam is actually slowly getting away. But then he flicks me through, and for some reason, I don't know why, but I'm doing 900 watts. Then I just do my signature 200 watt pull, 500 watts. It's a lot. I flick through, and it's Nick again. I guess he slotted in second wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, kind of letting wheels go. I mean, I don't blame him. Yeah, just making us do all the work. And yeah, Cassius is like, WTF. I slot in second wheel. Oh man, so Nick takes us through these chicanes right here, then he flicks me through, so then it's my turn. I'm doing 400, 500 watts. And I'm starting to fade, so I actually peel off pretty quickly, but then right as I do, the entire field, like I guess whoever was next just starts jamming it, so it forces me to do 900 watts. And yeah, Nick and I are just latching onto the back here. We're just kind of trying to get as aero as possible, and Cam is just getting away. It's like, oh my god, dude. I hope by now that everybody realizes that Cam has every intention and means to get away, and I think they do, because everyone's actually starting to pitch in here. HJ, gotta get in the draft. So here's something funny. Nick and I both found this slipstream off to the left here, so we both start tucking. I didn't realize this because I don't look back when I'm chasing. I only look back when I'm in a break, and right now, the only person in a break is Cam. Okay, so I wanted to show you this. We come around the chicane, and Cam is barely visible, and we actually exit this doing 22, 24 miles per hour, which is like super slow. Like Cam is up there doing 26, and you know, this is the thing, is that some of these people who are in the back are now starting to come up to the front, and they don't realize that Cam is actually up front. So sometimes it slows down when they get up in front, and you know, we need to be telling everyone that there's a solo rider off the front, but sometimes it's just hard to communicate that because it's just tons of people in this total chaos. So I fast forwarded through it, but before, when it was bunching up, I was actually still off the front doing a ton of work because I'm trying to get over to Cam like however I can, and you know, maybe a chase group will form, maybe it won't, probably won't. So I'm just thinking through my options, and I know I'm not strong enough to bring Cam back on my own, so I think about who can and who will, and the person that comes to mind is Nick, and it's just a matter of when, not if. So somebody in the front sat up and Nick shuts it down because he wasn't able to get the separation that he was after, and I stopped because, not for any tactical reasoning, I was just tired. And meanwhile, Cam is growing his 38-second gap, which is almost half the course. So now we've been riding around aimlessly, which sets us up for this pattern where solo riders shoot off the front, and here goes Cassius, who later told me he was hoping that I'd come with him, but you know, I was just in no shape to be able to follow because I was just doing so much before. So I remember a lot of us taking turns chasing down Cassius, and he does a pretty good job staying away. And I really think that if it wasn't for Cassius doing this attack, a lot of us would just be riding around aimlessly. So I think a lot of us being able to keep this speed high is actually thanks to him. So it's this fellow Kings rider who ends up closing it down with Cassius. He's the same rider who ended up initiating the very first break. So Cassius is caught and the two riders actually pedal through, which is what they should do. And Cassius is telling HJ to, hey, go. But, you know, HJ doesn't have an obligation since he's Cameron's teammate. And I know that HJ is not going to pull through, so I try to close down this gap. Tutak's on my wheel. He provided some footage too. Thank you. Alright, so we come out of these chicanes, and this is exactly how Cam gets away. Is, you know, I try to flick to get someone else to pull through, and we go 5 riders wide, and I'm looking back. I stop pedaling because I just need somebody to pull through, anyone but me. And Brian comes through, so thank you, Brian. So Brian leads us through the chicanes to the next lap, and you know, in reviewing this footage, I noticed that the groups actually started to get comfortable going through these chicanes. You know, we took it nice and smooth and exited it single file, so yeah, the group's starting to adapt to the course. And right as they do, I cramp and I'm at risk of DNFing, so I just start thinking of excuses. So I go to the back where I belong, and I'm barely hanging on. By now, a few riders have actually dropped off the race, and I'm actually thinking of dropping off myself. And as this is happening, HJ comes to the front to slow down the field. And by this point, there's still 20 minutes of racing left and Cam is nowhere in sight. So it's looking really unlikely that we're going to catch him, let alone me finishing. And right as I say that, this Team City rider comes around and he starts taking this huge hero pull. Yeah, this guy is awesome. He's just going for gold. Man, so this guy's just been pulling for several laps, and he's the ultimate teammate because he sets up for this other Team City rider who launches off an attack. So now we're in the late stages of the race, and gaps are starting to form, so everyone's having to pitch in to make sure that the elastic doesn't snap. So the elastic is about to snap, and it's legit just Noah's Ark right now, where if you don't hop across, you're just going to get left behind. So there goes Nick with Tutak on his wheel. Here comes Team City with Brian, and I need to get my act together soon too, or else I'm going to get left behind. There goes Cassius. And so I come out of my hidey hole. Oh, and there's Derek on my wheel, and the last rider on board is the ultimate Team City teammate. Alright, 4 to go. Okay, so unfortunately HJ is about to get dropped here, but if we zoom in we can see that Cam is right within sight. And I don't have the final lap footage, so we're going to have to reconstruct the story through interpretive dance. So we ran out of food, gas, water, and GoPro battery, so we're doing something right.
Pack is going nuts right now. Cameron O'Reilly, can you do it? This is huge. The pack is...
So Cam gets caught before the final corner of the last lap, and Nick comes around at about 150 meters to go. It's a pretty heavy crosswind, and so he uncorks at 1,000 watts. I'm doing 600 in this draft because my legs are shot from my earlier cramp, and, well... yeah, I had no intention of coming around. Also, coincidentally, the very first group that chased Cam is actually the top 4 in order. And speaking of Cam, he did a great job. I mean, it takes so much guts to go solo, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of him soon. And lastly, thank you to the NorCal photographers. I legit wouldn't have made this video without you because no final lap, no deal.
Something said to